So if you've ever used an iPad for music production or any sort of MIDI shenanigans, you've probably learned two different things within the span of about 5 seconds. One is that iPads, I still have my box for whatever reason, are pretty cool. But number two, there's no MIDI port. Today in this little demonstration, I will be showing you how to take your iPad and give it MIDI ports. So the first thing you will of course need is a dongle. This specific dongle is absolutely overpriced, but it has the connection you need. You need the camera connector dongle. We're not going to be using a camera, but it gives you a USB-A port, which we will be using. So after that, you will be needing one of these. I'm not sponsored by Otraki, obviously, but they're like not that expensive and they seem to work. It's basically you plug in USB and you get 2 MIDI points. This one in particular has one out, one in, and they are the male style connector. You can get, I'll throw it up on screen, female to female connectors, which you can plug onto the end of these and get female style connectors. But for my setup today, I won't be needing those. The only other thing you'll be needing is an audio interface with MIDI out ports. I am currently using my Mo2 M2 to record this voiceover. So yeah, probably not going to be able to show that off while it's in use. So switching to the camera audio now so that I can use my interface during this little test. Not that we're losing much because the sound that I've picked here in literally GarageBand is about the worst I could have picked, even considering it's GarageBand. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your camera connector thing and do the literal only thing you can do with it and plug it into the little hole. Next step, take your USB side of your little Otraki MIDI thing, plug it into the USB slot there. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to take your MIDI in side and plug it into the MIDI out of your interface, and take the MIDI outside and plug it into the MIDI in of your interface. The reason for this is that the labeling is very literal. You want to send the MIDI out of your interface into the MIDI in of the other interface. It's a little bit confusing, but once you kind of understand and grasp that, it's a little less confusing. So every DAW has a different way of doing this, but I have just basically MIDI out in FL Studio that's going to send this MIDI sequence to the out port of my interface. And with everything set up correctly, you should play this and it should play the MIDI with the iPad's instrument. And as you can see, it's working. So, quick overview of what the heck that even was. Take your output from your interface, put it into the input of your USB MIDI interface, then plug that in to your camera connector kit, then plug that into your iPad. And that is my favorite way of setting up MIDI for iPad. See you guys in the next one.